would you please introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury by telling them your name and then spelling it so the court reporter gets it correct?
Great. My name is Caitlyn Floyd, spelling C-A-I-T-L-I-N, Hickey, H-I-C-K-E-Y, Floyd, F-L-O-Y-D.
And Ms. Floyd, just generally, where do you live?
Metro Atlanta.
Okay. Have you lived there most of your life?
All my life.
Back in June of 2014, were you living in the Metro Atlanta area at that time, obviously?
Yes.
Did you, during that time, did you use any messaging applications or anything like that as far as social media, talking to people online, things of that nature?
Oh, yes, quite a few.
Okay. Tell me some of them that you would actually use back then.
Kick, Whisper, Facebook Messenger was the main ones.
Do you remember coming into contact with someone by the name, a screen name of Bama XH?
I do.
And how did you first come into contact with this person?
Via Whisper.
And do you remember how it was that you guys struck up a conversation on Whisper?
I think I posted something, he replied and sent me a message and just conversed from there.
At some point, did you actually start communicating on a different application?
Yeah, but we took from Whisper to Kick.
And about how long can you even estimate was it from the time y'all started on Whisper till you started up using Kick?
A few days. I'm not sure.
So in June of 2014, could you tell the jury a little bit about, did you know this person's name at the time?
I'm not sure exactly. I can't remember if he introduced himself as his name or not.
Okay. Do you remember ever seeing any pictures of his face or anything like that?
His Kick picture was his face.
Okay.
I think it is one of his friends too.
And later, did you see him at some point as far as being involved in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Did you recognize it as looking like the same person?
Yes.
Now, during that, just generally, could you tell the jury what was the main gist of your conversations with the person, the Bama XH?
Mostly just regular conversation as well as sexual things.
Okay. And during that time, from about June 3rd to June 18th, did you kind of continue on and off again with messaging in the same and similar manner?
Yes.
Did he ever make any statements specific to you in this messaging, or did you ask him about him having a conscience?
I did.
Okay. Tell the jury just generally, as far as you remember independently, about how that came up and what was said back and forth.
I think it was something to the effect of when I asked him if he was married, and then I asked him if he had a conscience, and he said no.
You're aware that on June 18th that there was something that happened. His child died.
Yes.
Okay. Were you interviewed by police, and did you go back and look, and have you found that did you actually come into contact with him on that day?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember about what time he contacted you that morning, the first time?
I think it was really early in the morning, like 4 or 5. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. Definitely sometime before 9 o'clock or
Yes.
9:25.
Yes.
He messaged you the first time. I'm going to show you what I marked for identification purposes. Let me ask you this. Can you sit here and spout out everything that you guys talked about just from independent memory?
No.
Have you looked at a log of the chats in between the two of you from your screen name to his screen name and the conversations back and forth?
Yes.
Okay. Showing defense counsel what I've previously shown them as State's Exhibit 394, 395, and 396. All right, ma'am, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as States 394. Have you looked at those messages and reviewed the messages in States Exhibit 394?
Yes.
Okay, and does this fairly and accurately represent the chat messaging between you and that person back between June 3rd, 2014 and June 18th, 2014?
Yes.
Your Honor, I tender States Exhibit 394 at this time.
Any objection?
Judge, all of the previous objections to this particular evidence that we had discussed before, 4, 3, 4, 4, 7, all of those bases. So we'll go, if we could ask just to continue to object on those bases, Judge.
You can, and I'll allow it over objection.
And Caitlyn, I'm just going to show you what's been marked as well as 395 and 396. I'm not going to publish these to the jury, but just for the record, you recognize State's Exhibit 395?
I do.
Okay, and what is that?
Picture of me.
Okay, and what are you wearing?
A Batman shirt.
Okay, and was this a picture included in the chats between you and the defendant?
Yes.
And 396, what is that a photograph of?
Of him.
Okay, and is that a particular part of his body?
Yes.
Okay, and is that included in the chats as well?
Yes.
Your Honor, I tender State's Exhibit 395 and 396 at this point.
Is there objection?
Yes, ma'am. Those same objections, please.
They stand. I'm going to allow them over those objections.
Now, Caitlyn, I know there's several pages of chats and things like that in there, so I'm not going to go by and ask you to read every one of them for the jury, but just keep State's Exhibit 394 there, and I've got a copy I'm going to go through with it and ask you some questions specifically about your chats, okay?
Okay.
First of all, did you know at some point, learn during your discussions with him being the person you're messaging with, that he was married?
Yes.
Okay. At any point during June of 2014, while you're talking to him, did he ever tell you that he had a child?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Did he ever inform you that during these times that he may have been messaging you some mornings that there was a child in the back seat?
No.
I'm going to turn your attention to, starting on June 4th, what was the first message on that day, and who was it sent from? I'll turn your attention to, first of all, let's go to the bottom of page 1.
Mm-hmm.
Did you send him, was there a message sent by you at 4:52 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. And then did he respond to that within about 20 seconds?
Yes. Just 20 seconds.
Now, looking at page 2, a little over an hour later at 5:38 a.m. on June 4th, who messaged who and what was the message?
He had said good morning to me.
Okay. So the defendant actually messaged you at 5-something a.m. saying good morning.
Yes.
Okay. And you've known him a few days.
Yes.
Did you guys keep talking throughout that morning, just in general conversation?
Yes.
Okay. Were there also conversations or pictures sent back and forth of a sexual nature?
There were, yes.
Okay. Going to the midway down page 2, after there are a couple of photographs sent, what is depicted in those photographs that he had sent you?
His number.
Okay. And is that 6:31 a.m. and two of them at 6:31 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ask him a question after that?
Yes, I did.
What did you ask him?
I asked him if he was alone.
And what did he say?
I'm not.
Did you ask him a follow-up question?
I said, well, that's risky of you.
And then what did he respond?
I'm very risky.
And turning to the next page, did you respond, well, I like risky?
Yes.
Was this all within a couple of minutes there, around 6:30, between 6:30 and 6:34 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. And after that, did the conversation kind of continue on, small talk, things about that during the day?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to turn your attention to page 5. Looking at the top, at 7:20 a.m., you guys are still talking. It's still in the morning, pretty early. Did you actually send him a facial photo of you?
I did.
Okay. And going to about middle down the road, middle down the page, at 8:29 a.m., did you ask him about how Atlanta traffic is this morning?
I did.
And what did he respond?
He responded with good and sent me a picture of the traffic.
And what time did he send that photograph?
8:29 a.m.
Did he talk about later where he was driving? Or did he talk about it in some other conversations about where he was driving with these
I
photographs?
believe it was other conversations.
Okay. Now, I'm going to turn your attention going on. Did you guys keep talking through the 10 o'clock hour, the 11 o'clock hour, the 1 o'clock hour, 2 o'clock hour, things like that?
Yes, basically all day.
And were y'all both at work?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to turn your attention to later on as that continued on. Did that continue on into the night, 7 p.m., 9 p.m., things of that nature?
They did.
I'm going to turn your attention to page 8. Up at the top, did you ask the defendant a question?
I did.
What did you ask him?
I asked him what he did for fun.
And how did he respond?
He responded with hiking and guitar.
Guitar?
Guitar.
Okay. And when he told you those things he did for fun, what did you respond?
I responded with, do you sing? I sing every day and night. LOL.
Okay. There are a lot of LOLs and emojis and things like that.
Yes.
Okay. After that, how did he respond back to you?
I responded with, I sing harmony and background vocal.
And did you ask him another
I
question?
asked him, by yourself? LOL. And he responded with, I'm the lead guitar player at my church.
So, when he told you he was the lead guitar player at his church, how did you respond to that?
I said, oh, that's awesome.
And how did he respond?
Yeah, I love it.
Based on this conversation back and forth, did you ask him any certain question? Were you I guess, because of the way this was going, did you ask him a question?
I did. I asked him, but then you still exercise the thought of being with someone else when you're married.
Okay. And how did he respond to that question?
Yep.
Did you ask him a question after that?
I did. I asked him if his conscience
That's been asked and answered.
Judge, I believe she asked for memory before. She didn't give an exact answer. Now she's reading the actual chat.
You can proceed.
Thank you. Okay, can you start over again and read the question that you asked him again?
Sure. I asked him if his conscience ever kicked in. And he replied with nope.
And when he said nope, did you follow up with another question?
I asked him, so what do you plan on doing?
And how did he respond?
IDK for I don't know.
And did you ask another question then?
I asked him, well, why not?
And did he ever respond to that specifically?
Not specifically. He responded, I think, 30 minutes later saying he passed out so early last night.
When he responded to you that next day, this had been June 14th, exactly 2 weeks before June 18th. Excuse me, June 4th, exactly 2 weeks before June 18th. Now starting June 5th. That morning, did he message with you early that morning, well before 9 o'clock or 9:25?
Yes, that was originally at 4:49 a.m. when he responded with, or replied with, I passed out so early last night.
And did you guys continue talking later that morning?
We did.
Okay, and beginning at 8:37, did it start up in a conversation in a sexual nature again?
Yes.
At this point on page 9, are you on page 9?
I am.
Okay. When you're on page 9, going down to about 4 lines from the bottom at 8:48 a.m., you guys have been messaging from 8:37 up to 8:48 a.m. At 8:48, does he ask you something, if you'd be willing to do something?
He asked if I was willing to meet him somewhere.
Okay. And was it somewhere public or private? What did he say?
He said somewhere to be risky in public.
Now, did you ever actually meet up with him or come into contact physically or meet him in person?
No, I did not.
Okay. I'm going to move on to June the 6th. Starting on page 12, June 6th, does he message you? Well, first of all, when does messaging start on June 6th? What time?
At 6:29 a.m.
6:29 a.m. And who is the person that messages first?
He messaged me first.
And what does he say?
Morning.
And did you actually respond?
I did.
Okay.
About 2 minutes later.
Okay. And did you guys again start talking and things like that right now?
Yes.
Okay. And did he inform you at some point that his wife was gone and y'all started talking again and he wanted you to come over?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to turn your attention to moving along to page 15. Looking at page 15, June the 10th. Looking about midway down the page there, what time was the first message sent between the defendant and you that morning?
It was at 8:25 a.m. by him.
And what did he say again?
Morning, doll.
Okay. And during that messaging, did he also send another picture of himself driving?
Yes.
Okay. And then later on, did he describe where that was in his morning commute?
Yes.
Okay. And what area did he describe?
Cobb coming up on Windy Hill Road.
Going to page 17, again, the next day, June 11th. Do you guys start talking again then?
We do.
Okay. And about what time do you start talking?
June the 11th, it was at 12:10 a.m.
Okay, at 12:10 a.m. Do you send one? I guess that's right after midnight?
Yeah.
Okay. When does he respond, or when does he first message you after that on June the 11th?
6:59 a.m.
Okay, so again, 6:59 a.m., way before 9 o'clock, way before 9:25, anything like that.
Right.
Okay, and what does he message you?
Morning.
And he asked you, you asked him what's up.
I did.
Okay, does he respond by sending you something?
Yes.
Okay, is that the photograph that you saw that was not of you that we already tendered?
Yes.
And then you guys talk more about the same type of thing, some sexually related discussions, and then also some general discussions.
Yes.
Okay, going to June 13th. Ask you to look at page 19. Okay. On June 13th, who messaged first that day, looking on page 19, about 4 lines down?
He did.
And what did he message you?
Multiple messages saying, I am so horny.
And what time did that start?
8:14 a.m.
And that morning, did he continue to message, and did y'all continue on the same type of discussions?
Yes.
And was this something where, looking at the times on this, did it go on during the morning and during the afternoon throughout June 13th?
Yes.
Now, on page 20, did you ask him or talk to him about his wife again?
I did.
Okay. And you asked him how long they'd been married? About halfway down.
Yes.
Okay. And how does he respond?
8 years.
Okay. And how do you respond?
I asked him, happy.
And how does he respond?
Very. Minus sex.
Okay. And then, as you continued on, what does he talk about at the bottom? What does he say about it at 2:42 p.m.?
That he's too much of a sexual freak.
Going on later in that conversation, just a few minutes later, at 2:59 p.m. on June 13th, does he ask you to perform some type of sex act?
He does.
And does he want to do that in public?
Yes.
Okay. What was your response?
I said I don't want to get arrested.
Okay. Said you don't want to get arrested.
Correct.
And how did he respond to that?
Don't want the risk.
Okay, I'm going to turn your attention. Did you keep talking throughout the rest of the day on June 13th as well about going into all the details?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to turn your attention to actually go to June 14th. That's going to be on page 24, up at the top.
Okay.
Okay. Now, on that morning, who messaged who first?
He messaged me first and said hi
Okay, at what time?
at 9:25 a.m.
And he just says hi.
Hi.
So again, he messaged you first that morning. Looking at the bottom of that page, as it's gone down, does this actually go into, y'all had talked about him coming by, you coming by his house or where you thought he lived, and asking if he wished you could stop by and things like that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, at the end of it, does he text you at some point early on the morning hours of June 15th?
He does.
At what time initially?
Originally 2:29 a.m.
And what does he say then?
He says hi.
Okay. Does he message you later that morning?
He does at 7:07 a.m.
Okay. And what does he say then?
Time to play some guitar at church.
Did you eventually respond?
I did 4 hours later.
And what did he say?
I told him, have fun.
And then how did he respond?
Said, I did. Now I want to come. LOL.
And that last message, what time was that at?
That was 12:05
The PM?
p.m. Yes.
And again, did y'all keep on with the same type of conversation and things like that?
Yes.
And did you inform him you had anything coming up on Monday, any type of appointment or anything like that?
Yes, I was getting my wisdom teeth removed.
Okay. So going to June the 17th then, or excuse me, June 16th. June 16th, did you actually have that procedure done?
I did.
Okay. Take it was not fun. Okay. Now on June 16th, did he actually send you a message in the early morning hours?
Yes.
And what time did he send the message?
7:32 a.m. and told me good luck.
Okay, 7:32 a.m., so that would have been on a Monday.
Yes.
Now going to June 17th, did he message you that morning?
Yes, he did.
Okay, and what time did he message you that morning?
7:44 a.m.
And what was his message to you on that day?
He said, you're going to be miserable today.
So that's 7:44 a.m. on the Tuesday, the day before the 18th.
Yes.
And did you have much conversation then, or just a couple of chats before June 18th?
Just a couple.
Okay. Now I'm going to turn your attention to June 18th, 2014. Starting that morning, did you guys message?
Yes.
What time was the first message sent?
At 5:49 a.m.
At 5:49 a.m. And who sent that message?
He did.
Okay, and what did he say?
Tells me good morning.
So it's well before 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, much earlier in the morning.
Yes.
And you guys have been, for lack of a better term, sexting back and forth for days, correct?
Correct.
Okay, since we're on the 18th, just start with that. How did you respond to him on that day, and at what time?
I responded at 10:52 a.m. saying, it's morning, LOL.
And did he respond to that message?
He did. At 1:17 p.m. he said hi.
So between your message at 10:52, is that what it was, p.m.?
10:52
Or a.m.?
a.m.
And 1 something, he responded at what time was it again?
1:17 p.m.
After he responded, did you respond back?
I did. I said, hey, what's up?
And did he say anything further to you?
He said, just working.
Anything else that was said back and forth? What did you say next?
He said, sounds fun, wish I could be, LOL.
And so this is what he says. He's at work and he's messaging you while he's sitting there.
Yes.
Okay. What does he ask you in response?
He asked what I was doing.
And what did you respond?
I replied with watching The Exorcist, waiting on my parents to wake up so I could take a shower.
Were you still recovering from your wisdom teeth being pulled?
Yes.
Okay. How did he respond to that?
Can I see your tits?
And how did you respond?
LOL maybe if you ask nicely.
And did he say anything else?
He said, please, madam.
And did you send him a photograph after that?
I did.
And what was his response? Okay. And did he follow up and ask anything else, make any other statements? Or did you make any statements?
I asked him if I wanted to play with him.
And how did he respond?
Can I curse?
Yeah, and for the record, you need to say exactly what the chat says, okay?
He says, fuck yes, I do.
And what time was that?
That was at 1:32 p.m.
Okay. And did you respond?
I did.
Okay. What did you say?
Well, good things come to those who wait.
And how did he respond?
Wait, I shall.
And did you? What was the last text message that you sent?
I said
Or
good.
message?
Good at 2:07 p.m.
And is that when the messaging between the two of you actually ended?
Yes.
Again, after that, obviously you've never met up with him or anything like that.
Correct.
Could you, from his photograph online, would you be able to identify him in the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay. Could you identify him by where he's sitting and just generally what he's wearing?
That gentleman right there in the shirt and tie, striped tie.
Starting to ask the record to reflect that she's identified the defendant in this case.
It may so reflect.
Just a second, Judge. That's all I have.
Cross-examine.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hello.
So your last name is Floyd now?
Yes, ma'am. Sir, sorry.
That's okay. All right. Have you changed your name or have you gotten married?
I got married.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to know just a little bit about you, if I could. You are, how old now?
25.
25. Okay, so you would have been 23 at the time that this chat was going on?
Yes.
All right, and at that time, back in June of 2014, where were you working then?
At an appliance repair company.
Appliance repair company. Okay, and you shared that with Ross, right?
I did.
Right, and did you have sort of regular 9 to 5 kind of hours?
Yes.
Okay. You had the, y'all met on Whisper. Did you have that app on your phone or just your computer?
On my phone.
On your phone, okay. And then y'all talked later on Kik, K-I-K, right?
Yes.
And that's because that's a more private messaging service, or it's an easier interface to use than the Whisper.
Correct. It's more
messaging
instant
service.
messaging rather than just pictures.
All right, so the time frame we're talking about really is very, very short, from roughly the 3rd of June, does that sound right?
Yes.
Until the 18th. Okay. Have you got a little cheat sheet or something there? You just got the,
I do have my
oh,
phone.
you got the.
I have the conversation.
You got the exhibits, okay. Well, that'll help. And you can set them up there however you're comfortable to look at them.
Okay.
As long as the judge says it's okay. All right. So since then, you've gotten married, and in June 2014, you were living at home with your parents?
Correct.
All right. You've got married since then, and you're no longer living at home?
Correct.
Okay. But you're still in the Atlanta area or whatnot?
Yes.
And you're still with the same company?
Yes.
You used Whisper. This was not the first time you used Whisper, was it?
No.
I mean, it was something you used to meet people on a regular basis. Is that fair to say?
Or just to talk to people, yes.
Yeah. And a lot of it is sort of just the fun of kind of talking and meeting with people that you don't know.
Correct.
Whereas kind of like with Facebook, usually it's you ask for a friend, someone you know or a friend of someone. But with Whisper, it's just sort of wide open. You just can kind of meet all kind of different people from all kind of places.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
All right. So you also didn't just respond to Whisper posts. You posted things yourself, right?
Right.
Any particular subject matter that you like to post about?
It was honestly random.
Random. And that's the thing about Whisper. A lot of it's like crazy random, right?
Right.
Everything under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Sports, school, sex, animals, whatever, right?
Right.
All right. And I want to show you something, see if you can identify this. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 49 and see if you recognize that.
I do.
All right. What is 49? What have I handed you?
A picture that I posted stating all of these idiots who ask for a pic then are too taken to show themselves pansies. Smiley face.
And is that the image that you posted that Ross responded to that kind of led into all this that we've talked about today?
I believe so, yes.
All right, I'll move 49.
No objection.
Admitted.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and publish this real quick if I could, Judge. When you post on Whisper, do you normally select the image, or do you just let the algorithm sort of fill in whatever image they want?
And you can do either or. Me in particular is just normally just whatever pops up.
All right. And so what you were expressing here was basically, I guess, some frustration because with people who request a pic, PIC is picture, right?
Correct.
Then are too chicken to show themselves, question mark, and you say pansies. And is this, I'm assuming that's kind of like a smiley face?
Right.
Okay. And so what you're talking about here is that on this format, or on the Kik format, or any messaging service, a lot of people, they'll just ask for a photo, any kind of photo. Can I see your private parts? Can I see your face? Send me a picture. And then some people will get pictures, but then won't send their own pictures back, right?
Right.
And that's what you were sort of expressing some frustration about.
Right.
All right. And had there been any particular, I mean, I know this was 2.5 years ago, but had there been some particular situation that you were just particularly frustrated with, that like you were sending out a whole bunch of pics and nobody would send you one?
I think it was more so that people were asking me for some, but then they wouldn't send anything back.
Okay. Would you normally send pictures of your chest or your privates before you send a picture of your face?
Not normally, no.
Okay. So you would start out conversations, and you would send a picture of your face, and maybe not till you got a little more comfortable would you send a little more. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's really kind of what happened in this chat over a course of 3 weeks with Ross, right?
Correct.
You sent a picture of your face, and is that the picture you identified? Is it
Oh, it's just a picture of me, yes.
okay. Hang on a second. Is this the one you sent?
That's not the one I identified, but yes, that is one of them.
Okay. All right. And at some point, either before you sent a picture of your face or after you sent a picture, one or the other, Ross almost immediately sent you a picture of his privates, right?
Correct.
In fact, he sent you a picture of his privates like within a day of y'all starting to chat?
On Kik, yes.
On Kik?
Right.
All right.
Whisper, you can't send pictures, I don't believe. I can't remember.
All right. And so, yeah, page 2. Look at page 2. So Ross sent a picture of his, it looks like 2 pictures of his privates on June the 4th at 6:30.
Yes.
And you didn't terminate the conversation. In fact, y'all continued to sort of I don't want to say escalate, but you got the conversation sort of picked up and got maybe a little nastier and more sexual. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And that was really from both sides. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay. And you would agree that when you're having these sort of, private sexual communications, it's certainly not uncommon for there to be this kind of more vulgar language than, say, we would use in the courtroom, right?
Right.
It's not a language of romance and soft words and candlelight. It's very sexualized, isn't it? Isn't that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
And so in that regard, there's really nothing different about these conversations with Ross than other conversations you'd had with people that you met on these similar Whisper or through Kik. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
All right, and a couple of things I wanted to go over. Will you look on page 5, and this would be June the 4th. you look toward the bottom, y'all are having, well, actually starting in the middle, y'all are having some conversation about traffic on the 4th.
Yes.
And then you're sent some kind of picture. Can you even tell what that is?
Looks like a picture of him at a red light.
At a red light?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can't tell if he's stopped at the red light or driving, but if you're at a red light, I guess we can surmise.
I can't tell if it's red or not, but
Okay.
it's a stoplight.
And then, let's see. Come on down a little bit. And you tell him that you say, I'm not living over here, LOL. If I move, I'm moving to Kennesaw or out to Powder Springs or Paulding County, LOL. Why was that? Why would you be moving to those areas?
Not quieter, less busy.
Yeah, less traffic.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Ross, what does he tell you right after that?
I'm looking for houses close to Kennesaw.
Looking for houses close to Kennesaw. He doesn't tell you that he's looking for some sort of bachelor pad in Buckhead or Midtown, does he?
No.
And so these folks will know, Kennesaw's a suburb way up north in Cobb County, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not inside the perimeter where, all the bar scenes and restaurants and where younger single people might look to live, right?
Sure. It is close to a college as well.
KSU.
Yes, yes, sir.
That's fair. All right, and then I want you to take a flip and take a look over at you said twice during your testimony, that Ross said something about you asked him if he had a conscience and he said no. Remember where that was? Page 8.
Yes. That was the only time it was ever mentioned.
Yeah. Does your conscience ever kick in? He says no. Is that right?
Correct.
You don't know, you have no idea if that's just some line he was feeding you, do you?
No. I don't know.
You don't know if he was thinking about moving to Kennesaw? In fact, you don't even know if he was really married.
Correct.
Because in this format, you can say anything. It doesn't have to be true, right?
Correct.
And in fact, in this kind of format where you're meeting someone and having very sexualized conversations and exchanging images, is it fair to say sometimes maybe the more outrageous or risky your language is, the more interesting you are?
At some points, yes.
A couple of more things I want to look at. All right. And I mean, this isn't to embarrass you, but you share some kind of personal stuff with him. Let's see, on the 7th, you let him know that you had some had some sexual relations with someone that night. Page 13. I'm sorry, page 13. I'm sorry, it's toward the bottom of page 13.
Okay, I see that.
That I did. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And again, not to embarrass you, but I mean, that's sort of, that's kind of standard fare in these communications. He doesn't know if you had really engaged in intercourse with anybody the night before, but you type that in, and it gets a response from him. And again, that's just kind of the nature of these sort of chats, right? Is that fair to say? All right, and then, let's see, go back to page 20. And this was from June the 13th. And of course, at this point, y'all have already discussed, you know that he's married, or at least he's claimed he's married, right?
Right.
And he indicates, let's see, you ask him, how long have y'all been married? And he says, 8 years. And then you ask him, happy, question mark. And his response is to you, very, minus sex. He certainly doesn't indicate to you that he's looking to end his marriage or get divorced or get away from his wife, does he?
Not in that conversation, no.
Let's see. And he shares almost immediately thereafter on the next page 21. Here you shared with him an assertion that you'd had some relations with somebody, and then page later he's saying the same thing to you. See at the bottom, he's talking about engaging in fellatio with someone at a park.
I see it, yes.
Okay. Again, that's kind of the theme of all this whole series of 2 weeks worth of conversations, correct?
Correct.
All right, and so now we get to the 13th. So with this juncture, y'all been chatting for about 10 days. Does that sound right?
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah. And just so that the jury will understand, you're not. This isn't like teenagers on the telephone all night long talking for hours. These chats are they're very short. You may say a couple of words, and then that may take, what, a minute of your day, 2 minutes or whatever. It's very, very quick.
Right.
Okay? All right, and then by the time we get to the 13th, you're now sending some additional photographs to him of your unclothed. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
On June the 13th. Including close-up shot of your private area. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't disagree that in the context of the conversation, it all kind of runs together and fits. I mean, you're having sexual conversations. He sent you an image, so you've sent him several images as well. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, and that kind of continues then for a couple more days. He sends you an image on the 15th. You send looks like maybe, are you standing in the mirror on 27?
Yes.
Okay. And then when we get to the 18th, you and Mr. Bourne kind of went over what was exchanged during the day on the 18th, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you sent him a picture of yourself in a state of undress on that day. Looks like that would have been sometime in the middle of the day.
Right, was it 127?
Yeah, 127. So the whole thing that we've discussed here, that you've identified and that we've talked about, it's from June the 3rd June the 18th. It's 90% sexual in nature. It's fair to say?
Roughly, yes.
Okay. And you never actually met in person?
No.
Right. And you don't disagree that the entire conversation commenced when he responded to a post that you put on Whisper?
Right.
Okay. And you don't know anything about Cooper Harris, do you?
Not since I saw it on the news, no. Before then, I did not know anything about it.
I mean, you understand that Cooper Harris died on the 18th?
I do.
Okay. But you don't have any testimony at all that has anything to do with that, do you?
No.
Objection, Judge? That's actually, I think, a legal question at this point, a factual question, calls for argument.
Sustained objection.
I think that's all I've got, Judge.
Thank you. Please rise.
Just a couple questions. Mr. Kilgore asked you about some differences between people that talk a big game online and the people who actually follow through with these risky actions, right?
Right.
So that's a big difference between somebody who talks it and then somebody who engages in that stuff, correct?
Leading.
Or is there a big difference between the people who talk a big game and the people who do these risky things that they say they're going to do?
Foundation.
He asked the question.
No foundation that you would be able to answer that particular question.
Are you familiar with people that do talk a big game and people who actually follow through on this from online?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Is there a big difference between that, this fantasy messaging, and somebody who's actually looking to get out and do what they're saying they're going to do?
Objection to relevance.
Same response, Judge.
I don't know her opinion to that, how that would be relevant to anything.
Judge, Mr. Kilgore went right into this. I'm allowed to walk right through the door since he opened it.
True.
You can answer. Okay, yes. And when he talked about, Mr. Kilgore asked you, well, you said something happened and he said something happened too. Was that Rope Mill Park? Is that where he said something happened?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you still engage in this kind of risky behavior, sending images to people you don't know over the internet?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing further, Judge. May she be excused?
Yes, you're good, Jack. Thanks, goodness.
Just went a little quicker than we expected. I got a couple of items of evidence that I need upstairs from the DA's office. Can we have just a short break?
Let's take about a 5 or 10 minute break, ladies and gentlemen. Close your notepads.